Last video I said I have a bit of an affinity for small maps. That's a lie. I'm addicted to small maps. Finding ways to do them in as few days as possible is actually so much fun, I just can't stop doing it. Judgment Day is up next. This is an all dungeon, all underground, fast-paced, action-packed, state-of-the-art, aggressive strategy, one-of-a-kind, I'm just saying words, early game bonanza. There are two ways to win. Eradicate your fellow dungeoneers in combat to prove who's king of the underground, the courageous option. Or avoid all possible human or troglodyte contact by getting the Sword of Judgement, which can be reached by thinking with portals and is guarded by a random tier 7 creature. The cowardly option. And Mama didn't raise no coward, so I'm going for the courageous option. I'm taking on both blue and tan. How can this be done? Taking a look at the map, there are a couple of things to notice. We are only directly connected to blue, not to tan, and the so-called two-way portals in the middle are actually four-way. Yes, I know what two-way actually means. And it's the only way to reach tan. Blue also has way more room to explore before eventually heading for the portals, meaning it's easier to pin down tan later, so it's probably better to go for blue first. The route to the Sword of Judgement looks quite long, which means that if I can be a little bit efficient with my movement towards the other factions, surely it's faster to not even think about the sword, right? When doing this fast, I don't have time to build up an army or get the necessary levels to have good spellcasting. The only warlock which would have been an option is Deemer, and he requires quite a specific setup, which I won't go into detail on, but it requires Mana Vortex in Blue's town, among other things. So which overlord am I going for? Well, Gunner is the natural choice, since he has logistics, and logistics is quite good for speed. But he has a small starting army and no combat secondaries, so he is high variance. Daze has the combat secondaries, but no logistics and a small starting army. Arlak has the ballista, which is excellent early game, so he is an option. But I'm going for the Trog love of my life, Shakti. If I can get 3 stacks of troglodytes to start with, I can take advantage of Shakti's troglodyte specialty and brute force the fights. Especially if there are no arrow towers in their towns. Let's just give it a go. I choose the gold scenario bonus in order to have some gold to work with at the beginning of the map. I reset over and over until I get the 3 stacks of troglodytes, and I end up with this 37, 35, 35 start. I quickly make sure there's no Lorelei in the tavern, as I want to recruit another hero later who has some more troglodytes, and Lorelei only starts with harpies. I pick up the experience from the chest, as I want as much combat power as possible, even if it's just primary skill level ups. Some free trogs on the way to blue is also quite handy. Already on day 3, we pass blue's garrison and find Malakith out exploring. If we make even one deviation from the route I took, we wouldn't reach him on this turn. Lucky. Or maybe just meticulous mapping. Alright, so in this fight you will see why the troglodyte specialty is so good. It ensures my trogs move before his trogs, which is his most powerful stack. On turn 1, I move all my stacks forward. The goal is to block the beholders and medusas from shooting too much before I can reach with my troglodyte power stack. When I eventually reach his trogs with my trogs, mine just one-shot his. Shakti OP. Even bloodlusted harpies barely make a dent in my stack. On turn 3, I can then stop their shooters from shooting, limiting my losses. Unfortunately, I make a minor mistake in positioning on turn 4. I didn't pay enough attention to move order, which loses me a few trogs. But in the end, I take out Malakith, losing only 30 trogs, 16 less than auto combat. Should have been about 20, but oh well. Expert offense is an excellent pickup, by the way. On day 4, we take on Blue's town. They even have Minotaurs for Christian's sake. We're not scared, however. We just take him on. It's only Alamar. Wait, Alamar? He has Resurrection. Shit. Auto lost 22 trogs. Surely I will lose fewer. Not much happening on turn 1, but on turn 2, I take out his Minotaurs. And they're back. At least it's out of spell points. My 1 stacks are picked off one by one, but I use my remaining stack to block the castle gate, forcing his units to go through the destroyed walls instead. This makes it harder for him to hit my trogs with more than 1 stack each turn, limiting my losses. If a unit dies in front of the gate, the game still thinks an enemy unit is blocking the gate. I take out his Minos again, and on the next turn he takes out my 1 stack in front of the gate with his harpies, permanently blocking the gate. His nulls morale, typical, getting a hit in, and I make sure to stay out of the harpies' reach until I can take out his trog stack. After doing that, his harpies hit my trogs, and after retaliating, the fight is won. Pretty good so far. I then use my massive amounts of gold to hire Sephiroth and the 1 remaining Minotaur blue couldn't afford. Transfer everything except 1 trog over to Shakti and then head for the portals. Nothing happens on day 5, but on day 6 we see Ajit with a massive pack of beholders. Yikes! Gotta take out some iron golems on the way though. This fight is fairly easy, as Shakti's troglodytes always outspeed on underground terrain. A little bit of poorly optimized fighting strategy, due to me not being worried about this fight at all, loses me a few troglodytes more than necessary, but nothing I think will matter in the end. 3 iron golem stacks are 1 hit, and the final one is pruned down by the Minotaur and the beholders, before trog retaliation takes it out. I lose 5, but it's manageable. Ajit, on the other hand, is a different story. Auto combat loses this, and that's concerning. Blood even as a ballista? We're cooked, trog bros. Or are we? I split up my harpies in order to more easily reach and block his ranged units. I misjudged the range penalty for the Medusas a little bit, as I should have been 1 hex further away with my top harpy stack, but it doesn't matter as the AI almost always goes for the ranged units in the bottom position with their own ranged units, for whatever reason. Ajit even magic arrows the super scary 2 beholder stack. After moving forward with my harpies, I realized the Minotaur isn't gonna accomplish much, so I sacrifice it to the enemy beholders. On turn 2, I reach his shooters with my harpies, hoping to reduce the damage to my trogs. I make sure his trogs move before mine, and I accept the fact that his beholders will shoot my trogs on turn 3. I'm down to 105 now. Moraling harpies get a hit in on my trogs after taking out my terrifying 1 beholder, and 3 more trogs are gone, just like that. I get a hit in on his trogs, taking him down to 19. Ajit then proceeds to just absolutely lay it into my trogs. All his units focus firing. Stop ignoring my 1 harpy, Ajit. After round 5, I'm left with 58 trogs, 1 harpy and a dream. The harpy is killed by his beholders, and the dream is killed by his morale. I'm down to 51 now. Finally taking out his Medusas, and the coward flees. I'm left with a mere 51 troglodytes. If Tan even has a decent hero left, I'm in trouble. Tan's town is barely defended by Arlak, so that's where the ballista came from. I decide to take the auto-combat result, as fighting 1 beholder with no arrow towers is a waste of time, and there's no way Tan has another hero. We've done it. 6 days, 2 towns conquered, all enemies vanquished. I'd say that even with the minor battle mistakes, this was pretty decently done. 446 score, another Archangel. The question is, can it be done by getting the Sword of Judgement? And can it be done faster? Let's find out. Also remember to like, comment and subscribe. Teehee. Alternate strategy time. Do you like to move fast on the map? Do you like strong might heroes? Do you like humanoid cows? Well, then Gunner is your Minotaur. We are going for the Sword of Judgement. Really fast. We're going through the portals, we're taking the coward's way, and we're gonna be proud of it, alright? Let's do this. I leave everything but the harpies in town and make sure there's a hero with trogs in the tavern. Arlak? That works. I then set out on the quest for the Sword of Judgement. I make sure to pick up the gold from both chests on the road to the portal, as I need to hire the second hero ASAP. If I'm too slow, Gunner just runs away and can never be caught up to. I hire Arlak, recruit all the troglodytes and 2 whole harpies with the remaining gold. Arlak then is set to follow Gunner till the end of the world if he has to. Gunner enters the first portal, and if you don't know, just press space when on a 2-way portal to teleport again. It takes a few tries to get to the right spots. Then I visit the Learning Stone, just for the primary skill level ups really. Arlak picks up the free trogs and goes through the first portal. Gunner gets +2 attacks from the Colosseum and heads on onwards. Another Learning Stone, another level. We free Sorsha from the nearby prison, use her to pick up some lizardmen from the lizard den, transfer Arlak's army to her, and I'm ashamed to admit I forgot the ballista. But no matter, Gunner doesn't have artillery anyway. Some more experience for Gunner, and we already get a glimpse of what we're up against. Bone Dragons? Could barely have been better. There are some fights which would have been impossible. Basically anything but Bone Dragons, Giants, Red or Green Dragons, and regular Behemoths would be way too strong. Sorsha catches up to Gunner, transfers the entire army over, and we are already ready for the final and only battle of this playthrough. Auto combat loses? Well, it's time to show what I'm good for. Alright, 4 Bone Dragons and 1 Ghost Dragon. This is more than doable. I set up my army to protect my troglodytes as much as possible. Skipping the army placement, the ghosties take out my griffins. I focus fire 1 bone stack with my beholders and troglodytes in order to maximize the chance of the trogs one-hitting it. Which works! Troglodytes have quite the damage range, so there's some risk here. But I don't want to lose any units to take retaliation for the troglodytes, so I take the risk. I then position my pikemen and harpies to limit the number of hexes my trogs can be attacked from. Luckily, the dragons seem disinterested in them, for now. And every other unit is told to stay put. 1 Ghost Dragon stack and 1 Bone Dragon stack then decide to hit my pikemen, while the remaining Bone Dragon decides to hit my lizardmen, with the added benefit of hindering my ranged units. When taking out Dragon number 3, I should probably have gone for the top Bone Dragon, as now the remaining dragons will want to hit my trogs, while limiting my shooter's ability to shoot. It's a little bit of a mistake, so I used the archer to take retaliation before hitting with everything else I've got. After being hit by 2 retaliations from my trogs, the Ghost Dragon just evaporates. The only thing left is a Bone Dragon with a single HP. I think I can safely say that we've done it. The beholders get the honor of the finishing blow. We bask in the glow of the glorious Sword of Judgement for a while, before picking it up and finishing the scenario in 5 days. 5 days! There was room for improvement. Lower final score, but who cares? We're quick as hell, lads. Quite suiting to get the Black Dragon rank as dungeon anyway, right? Not coping at all. But before we finish, I want to show you this very neat trick. In the fight against the Bone Dragons, there's a pretty cool thing we can do. Alright, so the fight plays out pretty similarly. We take out the Bone Dragons one by one, some neat positioning, a bit of aging on the troglodytes. They look old to begin with, in my opinion. When there's only the Ghost Dragon left, look what happens when I retreat. There's no guard left. Why is that? Well, the guards were Bone Dragons, not Ghost Dragons. So when the only remaining stack is the upgraded version, technically there are no Bone Dragons left. This works whenever there's an upgraded stack. It's quite the neat trick. Anyway, I have no hope of this being doable in less than 5 days. But this is so much fun. Figuring out how stuff works, mapping out the scenarios, stuff like that. I love it. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. And if you did, please leave a like, comment, and a subscription. I love interacting with you guys, so please continue your comments. I read everything and respond to almost everything. I'll see you next time, so have a nice day.